Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about how hard it is to do nothing, especially when we feel that our value is directly connected to how much we achieve. I asked Martin why he insists on going walking in shoes with no tread, and he tells me a story about why you might want to think twice before going on holiday tours expecting ancient artefacts. Half an orange.
How you doing?
I'm all right, yeah. It's snowing.
It is. It seems sort of strange watching the cricket on the TV in a sun-drenched India, and then looking out the window and seeing snow falling down.
And looking at that beach, which is quite long, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, and there's quite a few people on it as well.
Is there? I was trying to work out if there were a lot of people on the beach, because I was looking at it and thinking, are there people on that beach, or is that just...
Well, there's sort of huts and stuff on there. Yeah, I went through the same process.
Yeah. It's big. It's bigger than Canberra, isn't it?
It is a little bit. It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I went to the coast.
Yeah, I know it seems an extraordinarily long time. Obviously, with lockdown, we haven't been able to travel too far, have we? And I'll miss that because summers I spend a lot of time walking along the coasts, and it's not good. Not good. But anyway, enough of that. We've got snow to contend with now.
Yeah, well, Daisy will like that. Almost slipped over in the garden earlier on, which obviously would have pleased you if I had gone over.
It would have pleased me more if it had been on video.
Never mind that. What are we talking about today?
Well, I've got a working title, which is Half-Time Orange. Okay. Obviously, it's a little bit football related, so I better not go on about it for too long. But what inspired me for this week's notes, but it was basically after watching a YouTube video about. It was about Jesse Lingard's West Ham debut.
Yeah.
And the guy on the video was saying that he thought Lingard perhaps would have. He hasn't played football for a long time, and he started to look a little bit tired towards the end of the first half. But in the second half, he had a bit of a spring in his step, and he put it down to David Moyes must have given him a half-time orange.
Right, is that a euphemism? It reminds me of. Presumably, it reminds you, as it reminds me of that old story about Stan Bowles.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, you do. I think it was Stan Bowles when he was playing for England. Who would have been the England manager at the time? Don Revie?
Don Revie.
Don Revie,
probably.
Anyway, so whoever it was said to Stan Bowles, "Look, I'm going to start you tonight, but if you're not playing well, I'm going to pull you off at half time." And Stan Bowles apparently said, "That's good. At QPR, I only get an orange."
I don't know if they'll make the cut, but it's quite a good story, isn't it?
It will make the cut.
Well, because you said it and you're in charge of the editing.
Exactly.
I remember, playing local league footy. We always used to have an orange at half time. I remember one of the mums used to bring them along for us on one occasion, or for a couple of seasons. She used to bring it along to us. So, I mean, the thing was, most of the lads wanted just to have a fag at half time, really, rather than a slice of orange. Different times, but anyway, it got me thinking about something that does come up in groups. So it is related to what I want to speak about. Really, it is a recovery related,
right?
And what comes up in groups quite a lot is the sort of inability to relax and sit down and do nothing during early recovery, which is quite a problem. I remember myself, I couldn't. Meditation was always really hard in the early days, although it was constantly recommended to us as a way forward. I found it really difficult, and I remember having this sort of a mind rush for several weeks when I went into recovery. It's sort of the reaction of coming away from a sustained period, I think, of sort of anaesthetising the brain with drink and drugs, and it does gradually get better, but it happens to a lot of people, and a lot of people express this concern. So I can't sit down, I can't relax, I can't get my mind to slow down. But periods of inactivity are important, aren't they? Right? I mean, it is about getting a balance. But I know we've talked about how important it is sometimes to take those sections out and to have time to sit down and to reflect.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a degree of comfort with your own thoughts, doesn't it? Which, as you say, when you're in active addiction, you are specifically blocking out your ability to think and reflect. And although what's probably worth noting in this respect is that a lot of people, even, people who haven't had any difficulty with addiction, find it very, very difficult to do nothing. I think there are a surprisingly high number of people who find it hard to sit with either doing nothing or with no kind of distracting sound around them.
Yeah. Do you think we're sort of hardwired into keeping going the whole time, and not any period where you do sit down and put your feet up, it's being lazy or being wasteful with your time?
I think some people feel like that. Certainly, some people. I can think of people that I know both personally and professionally who find it hard to stop because, yes, there is that feeling that, oh, hang on, if I'm not doing anything, I think what's at the root of it is quite often people feel that if they're not doing anything, they aren't being valuable. I think often we connect our value as human beings with our achievements, and therefore, by definition, if you're sitting doing nothing, you're not achieving anything, are you? And if you're not achieving anything, and your conclusion or the conclusion you draw from that is that you're not valuable when you're doing nothing, it would obviously become very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I certainly remember that feeling, and a lot of people express it exactly the same. That you're struggling with your place in society anyway when you're in addiction, and that doesn't change. That feeling doesn't change for some time into recovery. So you're still struggling with that aspect of your own lifestyle, and sitting down doing nothing is difficult. I remember, even when trying it in active addiction, we were talking about this the other night on one of the groups, that you had no concentration levels anyway. If you picked up a book, you'd start to read a page, and by the time you got halfway down, you'd forgotten what you'd read at the top, and so you couldn't use now I find it nothing nicer than sitting down and reading a book. It's very relaxing, and you don't feel like you're wasting your time. Then I feel like I'm learning stuff the whole time, still increasing my knowledge when I'm sitting down reading a book which is gripping, or can be factually stimulating.
But I mean, in that respect, if you're sitting reading a book, then even in that example that you're citing, you are still achieving some sort of growth, because, as you say, you feel as if you're learning. You feel as if you're sort of kind of building on your knowledge. I think the thing that eludes a lot of people is the ability to sit and not be able to feel as if they are growing, to just do something, either for pure enjoyment or purely for relaxation, and to feel that that's okay. I think a lot of people have difficulty with that. And as you say, when you're first in recovery, when you're already probably feeling a bit nonplussed about yourself anyway, sitting and doing nothing and feeling as if you are not achieving anything, or you're not creating anything, or you're not adding anything is I can understand that would be intensely uncomfortable.
It is an uncomfortable feeling, but I think, and just to throw in a quote here, I haven't used a quote for a little, have I?
No, you haven't actually. It's been blissful.
It has, yeah. Well, I'm just about to break your bliss then. In that case, your relaxation is going to go. There's a guy called Mark Black, who is, in fact, he was a heart-lung transplant recipient. So, right. And he said that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to relax. Mm-hmm. And obviously, in his case, he probably needed to for medical purposes, but he found it very productive to sit and do nothing. Mm-hmm. And he went on to do he achieved lots of things. He's just sort of he used to run marathons and all that. But he's now a speaker and an author and a coach. But he was saying that we do undervalue that particular time in the day where we should take time out to do nothing.
I think it's also important when you're in recovery, if you haven't worked it out previously, to be able to work out what type of a relaxer you are. Some people are passive relaxers. Some people are quite happy to sit and, as you say, read a book or watch something on the TV, or maybe just even stare out the window at the snow this morning. But other people are active relaxers, and their preference is to relax by doing something. Then they might go to the gym or go out for a run, or, I don't know, tidy the kitchen drawer or whatever. I think it's really important not to beat yourself up because you have a preference for one and not the other. But as with all things, balance is necessary. Even if you're an active relaxer, being unable to ever sit with nothing is not very healthy, in the same way as if you're a passive relaxer, never feeling as if you can do anything and get any enjoyment from it, obviously has its own difficulties attached to it.
It does. When you do a little bit of research into relaxing as well, look, talking about this Mark Black chap again, he'd done some research and he'd found out that when you relax, the flow of blood increases around your body, which gives you more energy, and it helps you to have a calmer and clearer mind, and which aids sort of positive thinking and concentration, memory and decision making. So when you look at all that, you tend to think, well, it is an important aspect of the day that should be incorporated.
You're recharging, aren't you?
You are. Yeah, I think especially true during lockdown. I think we've learned to relax a little bit during lockdown, and we've been enforced to. But it doesn't stop your mind sometimes still thinking, I'm wasting my time. I'm not being productive enough. And I still struggle with that, I must admit. And it's difficult. It's easy with meditation to do so, to take you down a level and to understand why you're doing it.
But do you think one of the reasons why perhaps, meditation in a kind of pure sense is quite difficult anyway, because you're being asked to, or you're asking yourself to empty your mind, aren't you, essentially? Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I think mindfulness probably is easier in some respects, because rather than mindfulness requiring you to empty your mind, it just asks you to focus on what's going on in it. So that can be a bit easier. But whether you're doing mindfulness or meditation, do you think one of the reasons that feels like it's more comfortable is because it feels you can tell yourself, I am actually doing something specifically to help myself, rather than, sitting doing nothing with no specific reason for that?
I do. I think, I do struggle with that. I've certainly, one of the joys of lockdown, certainly during the first one, when the sun was out and it was lovely, was the opportunity to go out walking, which I'd never really done before. And
you took that to extremes, didn't you?
I did a little bit, but we're taking a gentle walk, which I'm doing more now. When I go out now for a walk, I do it much more gently. I was, setting my own personal goals, which again was wrong, really. But
you were like Forrest Gump, weren't you?
I just kept on walking. I just kept on going. I did on some days. I used to come home with my trainers. I've worn out a pair of trainers virtually. But anyway, I found that quite nice. Just sort of in a relaxing way of connecting with nature, really. Walking out, it's not so nice now because you have to avoid some of the muddy places, which were dry during the summer, and so you're on the roads more, which are on the pavements, which are far less relaxing than going up into the, walking through the woods. And
why don't you just get yourself a pair of bloody boots? What's the matter with you?
Yeah, I could do that, but it's just slippery as well. I'll be falling over a bit like you outside on the snow.
Yeah, that was quite funny. You came on a little walk with us, didn't you, just before Christmas, and I took you down a muddy path and you were complaining. I think the phrase you used was, it's like Torville and Bastard Dean here. I think that's what you said.
I may have used that phrase in anger.
But no, there's something just reminded me of something you were talking about going out for a walk. And I can't remember where I was reading it, but I was reading something last week about how, we're probably at our best and our happiest and our most content when we recognise we are part of nature, and so we we walk in step with it. And so, that by definition means that if it's snowing or it's raining or it's muddy, you just do whatever is necessary to be alongside that. Every time we try and avoid anything natural, we come a cropper. We don't feel so comfortable because we're not something separate from nature. We are part of nature.
Yeah.
Well, I am. I don't know about you, but
I feel very much part of it. Thank you very much. I can't remember where I got to now on my notes, but we're talking about relaxing, and I was looking at someone, or listening to someone on the radio. I can't remember. It was on a Radio 4 show, and she was talking about how people are getting this real build up and the need to go away on holiday to relax because of lockdown, not allowed to fly away. And I remember thinking, I've never I've never treated a holiday as relaxation. I've always found it a really stressful experience. I come back from a holiday. It's a break from the routine of general life, but I come back from a holiday not feeling relaxed at all. I mean, especially I've been on some seriously long haul flights to far flung places on holiday, and they're not nice at all. It's nice when you get there, but I just found the whole experience. And I remember going on holiday when the children were young, and it was stressful. I've never really liked it, and I'm not really one for sitting or laying down by the pool. I've always, when I've been on holiday, I've always wanted to go around and explore the local culture, or I suppose in the earlier days I'd have gone off and tried to find the bars as quickly as possible. But
I was going to say that's an interesting terminology for the local hostelries, the local culture.
You get some horror stories about what happens on holiday. I remember my poor old Auntie Val. You remember my Auntie Val? Mm-hmm. We had a big family holiday. We all went to Greece, all my aunts and uncles and brothers and our partners, etc. And I remember in Greece that we went out on we got taken in. You get the reps at the hotel. They take you and say, sign you up for these tours and sign you up for this. And we was out in Greece, and we went on this Alexander the Great tour, which we thought would be lovely to go and see some lovely architecture, which basically turned out to be a pile of rubble in the field after 5 hours on a baking hot coach with no air conditioning. I remember we stopped on the way back, and my poor old Auntie Val, she really wasn't enjoying herself, and she went into the toilet. We stopped at a little bar to have a drink or whatever. She went into the toilet, and it was one of these real, foreign toilets sometimes can be the most dreadful places. They're really stinky and smelly and stuff everywhere in there. And I know she went into there and she turned the key in the lock and it broke off, and she was in there for hours. Everyone was back on the coach, and where's Val gone? Where's she gone? And you could someone went back into this place, and they could hear this knocking getting weaker on the door, trying to get out. And she was physically shaken. And to top it off, bless her, a couple of days later, and we was walking out, and we were walking by the swimming pool. We was going to dinner, all dressed up nicely. Bang, in she went. She slipped and fell in the swimming pool. So she had a less than relaxing holiday. She's long gone now, so she won't be able to listen to this, but it brought us a lot of mirth, and she did see the funny side of it herself, that it was one of those breaks that she really wished she hadn't have taken. Very unrelaxing.
Did she like holidays other than that particular jaunt to Greece?
Yeah, she did. She was a big fan.
I was going to say, because I remember your mum being quite fond of a holiday.
Oh, she loved it. Yeah. Which, looking back, I think the holidays I enjoyed most was when I was a child.
Yeah.
Probably selfishly, but I was lucky enough that my parents used to take us every year. They used to take us abroad. We used to drive across the continent, and we went camping across, in Italy and France and Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Luxembourg, all these lovely places, and they were really enjoyable. They were lovely. They were lovely. But looking back on it, I think that must have been really stressful for my parents. Us three boys in the car, all fighting all the way down through the Pyrenees. It's not much fun, is it?
No. I never went on. My parents never took us on holiday abroad when I was a child. So, I hope you feel satisfied. Oh yeah, you've opened up a wound for me now.
Sorry, mate. I don't want to bring you down, but I was happy about it, so I'm okay, Jack.
We did go to Wales one year, I seem to remember. The only thing I can remember about that holiday was that we had tinned grapefruit for breakfast every morning.
No, you're talking, aren't you? That was your idea of a continental breakfast, was that open up a tin of grapefruit in Wales?
Oh, well.
Anyway, so yeah, I never found those relaxing, but just slightly moving away from that, the second area I wanted to look at, if we got time, was just this period we get into again of it's almost like a flatlining period, which we've talked about in the past. About sort of, it tends to come in about between sort of 3 to 6 months into recovery, where you get this flat feeling. Mm-hmm. You get this. We talked about the pink cloud you experience at the start of your recovery, where everything's great and it's a wonderful world is opening up, and you hit this plateau.
Yeah.
And I've looking back on it. I struggled with it a bit, but it is a good time for reflecting where you've got to. And I know we talked about it in the past about the the fertile void, or under the Gestalt psychology.
How did you get through that period when you kind of hit that plateau? How did you get through? I'll tell you why I'm asking you. I'm asking you because that plateau that you're referring to in recovery, I think, is quite similar to the plateau that a lot of people have hit in lockdown. Because when we were first in lockdown, although it was kind of terrifying being in the midst of a global pandemic, it was also quite exciting because nobody had ever experienced it before. So there's almost a kind of an interest that keeps you going through those early weeks and months because this is so unusual. Now we're a year into it. One of the things that I've noticed a lot with a lot of my clients is a kind of listless feeling, a purposeless feeling, which is the same sort of thing. It's like we've hit a plateau. We know what this is like now. Nothing much is changing. And people, I think, are finding it very, very hard to kind of pick themselves up. So I wonder how you dealt with that feeling of plateauing.
It was difficult. I remember I talked to others at the time and said, "This is I'm feeling that I'm reaching a point where I almost felt like it was a tipping point. It was that balancing point between going back to my old habits, which was still calling me, or moving on and embracing what I'd learned and how good I was feeling. So it was a really difficult point. And when I talked to others and found out they'd gone through exactly the same, it made me feel a bit better that it was a natural part of where I was going to and where I come from. And it was, it was explained to me at that time. I might have even talked to you about it as well. It's a period where you sit with it and live with that, and you'll find naturally you get to the point where you will take off again. It's a little bit like having a base camp on a when you're climbing up a mountain. You sit there for a while, you can take in the views below you and see where you've been, and before you look up and crack on with the next bit. And I've always tried to visualise that and pass that on to other people as well, saying, no, treat it as a base camp. Sit there, sit with it a while, and it is a time for reflection.
It's a bit like it's a bit like the cycle of change, isn't it? Because in the cycle of change, there is a point at which, hopefully before one relapses or lapses, that you think about why you made this decision in the first place, and what's good about having changed your course, and what's good about living the life that you're living, even when sometimes you inevitably hit periods of it which feel a bit dull and uninteresting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think the parallel you drew earlier on about the lockdown is very relevant. But when I was doing a little bit of research into sort of the Gestalt psychology and the fertile void, they explaining in there that the midlife crisis can be exactly that sort of period as well, which a lot of people hit naturally. It don't have to be an addiction or anything. It's a natural point in your life where you do start to question things, or you look at what's happening, and it's like a base camp before you, some people can make quite bad decisions at that point if they're not careful.
Yeah, but because that midlife period is usually a period where we're to an extent mourning on the part of the life that we've lost, and beginning to look forward and starting to think about what our legacy might be. It's quite a big deal in our lives.
It is, but I think once you sort of understand that fertile void concept, and that it is a time for reflection, and it can be a good thing for moving on. I think once you embrace it and understand it, it can be very fruitful.
Yeah.
And you can genuinely you can hang on in there for a while, and your vitality emerges from there, and on you go. But it can be quite tricky.
Yeah.
Which is again just a bit like where we are in lockdown at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. That whole the idea of talking to other people. Again, there's a parallel there with lockdown, because if you talk to other people, a lot of other people are feeling exactly the same. It's a double-edged sword, really, because there's plenty of advice out there about what to do when you're feeling like that. Do this, try doing this, get rid of the feeling by doing that. But there isn't very much about how to live with the feeling. Sometimes there isn't an immediate way out. Sometimes you just have to tolerate it, which, of course, is something that we've spoken a lot about. Yeah, of course, if you have an opportunity to make yourself feel better, take it. But don't think that there's always a way of making yourself suddenly feel happy if you're feeling a bit low.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I had a little bit of trouble relaxing this morning when the cricket to far higher level than I was hoping for, and we was having trouble getting their wickets.
Yeah. That was slightly disturbing. It's also slightly disturbing having to wake up really, really early to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I made the mistake this morning because the coverage starts around about 4:00 in the morning, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I've made the mistake of staying in bed and watching it, just laying there.
Asleep, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I knew you'd fallen asleep because I sent you several messages and you didn't read them, and I thought, I know what's happened there because I could see you'd been online at 5:30. I thought, I know what's happened here. He's checked the cricket score, he's had a look at the cricket, and he's gone back to sleep. Oh well, it is Sunday.
It is Sunday, and it led me on to talking about what I'm grateful for this week. I've been grateful that Channel 4 have been carrying the cricket coverage, and it's not on a subscription channel, which means I can engage properly in it.
That's good. So that's what you're grateful for this week.
Well, it wasn't. It's just something I've added on. I've got something else on. Well, I was very. It was an act of kindness, which was lovely. Where I just suddenly got a quick text saying, I've just dropped off some cakes for you just outside your front door, which was lovely. And one of the girls from group had done something. She's quite a prolific baker. And she dropped off some various people in groups. She'd popped around and just left the stuff outside the front door and just sent the text, which was lovely. And there was some she'd put in there some coconut chai cake, which I've never had before, but it was absolutely
that sounds
delicious.
Nice. Yeah,
it was beautiful, and some wet Nelly, which is like a bread pudding, which is again beautiful. Yeah. So I thought it was a really lovely thing to do. And I was very touched by that, and I was very grateful for that.
That is lovely. Although wet Nelly does sound like a slang for some sort of narcotic.
It does, really, doesn't it? Yeah, I'd never really thought about that.
You've been out scoring some wet Nelly. That is nice. No, that's nice. I noticed I offered you some bread yesterday, but you didn't bother to come round and get any.
Do you know? I totally forgot.
Yeah, that's nice. You're too busy eating wet Nelly, aren't you?
Well, in actual fact, my cousin dropped around with some bits and pieces as well, some food. So I hardly left home yesterday. I need to go out and.
Sod you then. I'll eat the bread myself.
I forgot to come down. So I do apologise fully for that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not clearly one of the things I'm not grateful for is you popping around and getting a loaf of bread from me because you didn't bother. But this week, so this week, what am I grateful for? I'll tell you what I'm grateful for this week. Funnily enough, it has some sort of relevance to something you mentioned earlier on. I feel really grateful this week for my very comfortable, sturdy pair of Wellington boots. Because the weather in the last couple of weeks has been so horrendous. And obviously having a dog, I have no choice but to be out in the fields and the woods all the time. And when I'm squelching through that mud, which I really enjoy, I'm very, very grateful for my lovely pair of Wellingtons, particularly as if you try to buy a decent pair of Wellingtons at the moment, absolutely impossible.
Is it? Is it? No, I don't own a pair, but
no, I know you don't, because the last time you came for a walk with me, you were virtually wearing slippers.
Well, I weren't slippers; they were reasonably sturdy-ish.
You called them walking shoes. You called them walking shoes, and they got absolutely no tread on the bottom of them whatsoever.
Yeah, I've worn them flat. I've used them so much.
You called them walking shoes; they were more like flipping bowling shoes.
Well, no, I should say they're probably the shoes that I use for walking in rather than walking shoes. They're not really appropriate.
Aren't any shoes used for walking in then? Or by that token?
Well, I allocate those particular pair because I don't mind if they get scuffed and dirty and filthy.
Right, I thought perhaps when you called them walking shoes, I thought perhaps you had a number of pairs of shoes that you just used for standing in.
It's totally motionless.
As soon as you move, you have to take them off and put on some of your walking shoes.
Yeah, you can have it could be like sofa shoes. You could just put them on when you're on the sofa. So when you want to do anything else, you have to put a proper pair on.
Very good.
Anyway, we're going off into realms which I didn't intend to, but thank you for bringing that up about me having not having adequate. And you're out there with your posh pair of Hunters or whatever you wear.
Hunters, actually, that is a brand you definitely won't be able to buy anywhere at the moment. If you want a men's pair of traditional hunter, Wellies, no chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not in the market, so I won't worry myself about that.
Okay, good.
So that's about it, apart from any musical guilty pleasures you may want to cough up to.
Well, I haven't, but last week, you did. We joked about the ridiculous possibility of us doing film reviews.
Oh yes.
So I don't have a musical guilty pleasure, but I realised because I watched a film yesterday, I realised that I do have a kind of guilty film pleasure, which is any film by Woody Allen, because it's become, almost difficult to admit that you like any of his work these days.
Well, I remembered a song. I have my Spotify playlist. It gives you little indications on what they think might be appropriate to you based upon your current selections. And it came up with one. I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. It's a song. I think it was the first song that I heard that actually made me cry. I was quite young when I heard it, and it actually made me cry. Yeah, no, it was Honey by Bobby Goldsboro.
Oh yeah, I don't know it. I don't think I know it. Why did it make you cry?
Because it's a very sad song about a guy who's a little bit mean to his wife, and then misses her now that she's died of cancer, or something like that.
That's it. Bring us up at the end of an episode on a Sunday morning.
Thanks. A bit of a tearjerker. But I remember that. I remember being moved by it at quite a young age, and it came up on this list. It's obviously very similar in taste and genre to these other tracks that are on my. Would
that be a guilty pleasure? Do you think?
Yeah, because it's a terrible song. Listen to it. It's as cheesy as hell.
Right.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, well, it made you cry.
It did make me cry, but I've put it on it's on my Spotify list, so now I have access to my Spotify list. You can look at it, you can have a little listen. But then again, I think I've got a couple of others ready for next couple of weeks on there, so you spoil the surprise.
Well, I don't think, I imagine that having to listen to Don't Stop Believing by Journey would probably make you cry, wouldn't it?
It might be sick more, yeah. Right. Yeah, it would. Well, it came up on Ken Bruce's Popmaster on one of the episodes this week, about Don't Stop Believing. It was about a Journey track, and that's the only one I actually know. And I think that the question the guy answered, that was the only track that he knew as well.
Do you want me to? You can borrow one of my albums if you want to work on your knowledge of their back catalogue.
No, it's a very nice offer.
Well, it's there if you want it. It's there if you want it. I can't do more than hold out the hand of American rock.
I'm too angry to even respond, rather than just thank you for the offer.
All right.
Anyway,
are we done?
I think we're done, mate. Yeah.
Right. Are you going to get out in the snow today? I
doubt it. No.
Really?
Why? Why would I want to?
Oh, it's great, isn't it? Snow.
It's all right, but it's sort of it's
cold.
It's not very. Yeah, but I wouldn't mind if it was laying properly. But it looks like it's sort of small snowflakes.
Oh crikey! So it's got to be a certain size of snowflake for you to appreciate the snow, has it?
Well, yeah, I like it when there's a nice depth of snow on the ground, but it's just a covering at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, some people are so fussy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Any road. Yes.
I'll speak to you soon then.
We'll do. Cheers, mate.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work, visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook at Sideways Podcast, or you can email us to let us know what you think of the show and with anything else you'd like to ask us. And finally, we want to thank you for listening and ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week. The Orange by Wendy Cope. At lunchtime I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy, as ordinary things often do. Just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park. This is peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all my jobs on my list and enjoyed them and had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist.